So, are you surprised to see the cops going? I mean, in Ferguson, the cops went after the reporters. That happened, and there was never a repercussion. Nothing ever. They smashed reporters' heads against doors and stuff, and they did all kind. No repercussions for the cops. And here they are. Let me just show this. Here they are arresting a CNN reporter right on the air.
I'll give us a second, guys. We can move back to where you'd like. We can move back to where you'd like here. We are live on the air at the moment. This is the four of us. We are one team. Just put us back where you want us. We are getting out of your way, so just let us know. Wherever you'd want us, we will go. We are just getting out of your way when you're advancing through the intersection. So just let us know, and we got you. And this is the scene here playing out in Minneapolis. This is part of the advanced police presence that we saw come over the course of really minutes when the local police showed up at the fire department, or with the fire department, I should say, on that building we showed you that was burning. This is among the state patrol unit that was advancing up the street, saying and scattering the protesters at that point for people to clear the area. And so we walked away. I'm sorry?
You're under arrest.
Okay. Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir? Why am I under arrest, sir?
Officer is with CNN and he's on the air right now.
Okay.
You are arresting him live on CNN. We told you before that we are with CNN.
It's happening live on the air. Okay, you don't have to see it, but that they're doing that live. They know they're on live camera. Do you see how much cops don't give a fuck about you? Do you see how much cops will kill you in front of your children and not give a shit? They're doing this. They're lawless right now on camera, and they don't give a shit. They're harassing journalists in America on camera, and they don't care. What do you make of that?
Well, I would point out, look how they're dressed. They're all wearing Kevlar vests and gas masks and Kevlar military-style helmets and knee pads and elbow pads. They've come, you can tell what job they're out to do by what they're wearing. Well, I mean, you know, they're all trained by the Israelis, so what do you expect? Yeah, it's part of the whole militarization of police, which goes back, and it's not just in terms of giving them military-style equipment, but I think you quoted that thing before, training as warriors. I mean, cops aren't warriors. Are cops supposed to be at war with the American public? Is it like going off to, it is in their mind, but is it like going off to Iraq and being at war with Iraqi insurgents? Yeah, I think they have a kind of war mentality. You see it in their demeanor. You see it in the equipment that they have and what they're wearing. Yeah, I think that, and certainly within depressed communities, they look at it as a war zone, and they look at themselves as warriors. I mean, I can't stress enough the daily kind of harassment that goes on within these communities, and it's exhausting. It's why, you know, black parents who have a teenage son, as soon as it gets dark, even if he's just down at the grocery store, are terrified with good reason. It's not just that he might get arrested; he might get killed, and there's almost never any accountability. So yeah, it's just, and it's a complete disregard for. I'm no huge fan of CNN, obviously, but no. It's a complete disregard for the right of a reporter who we heard was being quite obsequious and polite. I'm not sure I would have been. They don't care. They don't care. And there will be, I mean, there will be no repercussions, I guarantee you, for the police who did this.
No. And so what I say to people is, where's the good cop? And that's it. There's got to be 100 cops standing there. Where's the good one? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. I want to also show you this. This was even. I think this is actually funny, but it is shockingly frightening in this day and age. here's they start shooting peppers, not rubber bullets, and those pepper bullets at reporter and their crew. Watch this. This is amazing.
Okay, well, you keep going and go where you got to go, and that's fine with us.
Okay.
We got plenty of time here.
Are you okay?
I'm getting shot. I'm getting.
Katie, are you okay?
Rubber bullets. It's okay. It's those pepper bullets. It's those pepper bullets.
Who are they aiming that at?
Look, who do you think he's aiming that at? Look at where he's aiming. Who are they aiming that at? What do you think?
Now he's shooting at the photographer.
At us, like directly at us.
Why are they doing that?
He's shooting at our crew.
Why are they doing that? I don't know if you know cops. That's the kind of shit they like doing. They're violent, and they give them weapons, and so they use it. So, just a little bit more to this. Hold on.
Do they not know that? Obviously, they see the camera. Okay.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's it. So I don't know why that makes. I think it makes me giggle because they're so white that they have no idea that cops are criminals and violent. They're like, doesn't he see it's you? Why is he doing that? I don't. Didn't you ever see any of the coverage of Ferguson? Anyway, Chris, let me throw it to you. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one more. Well, first of all, I have to, make it clear. When does the press go into these neighborhoods? Only at moments like this. I mean, and this is part of the utter bankruptcy and failure of the American press. They should be reporting day in and day out in what's happening in these communities. But because, corporate media, they're owned by these giant, monoliths. So they're, the news is just one revenue stream of, it used to be the old Hearst model, and which was bad enough. That's gone. They're just one of hundreds of revenue streams, and they compete against other revenue streams. They don't bring in the money. They get replaced with some idiot like Zucker, who created the fictional persona of Donald Trump on The Apprentice and has recreated CNN into a news version of ESPN with the same kind of host and the four figures and the stat board, and none of it's real, none of it's relevant. And so, yeah, it shows two things. One, they don't understand police and policing in these environments. And number two, they're complete foreigners from the outside. They show up when there's dramatic footage of, angry people of color throwing things or looting a Target, and then they disappear. And the very human rage, legitimate rage that pushes people to engage in this activity is never explained or ever examined.
One more thing I'd love to get your opinion on is what you've talked about before. So, did you cover what happened in you? Where were? So talk about you. Is it true? I keep quoting you. I don't know if it's accurate. But yeah, there's some variants of the quote of once the foot soldiers of the elite will no longer protect them, they are finished. Is that close to what you said? And where did you observe that?
In Eastern Europe, when I covered the revolutions in East Germany, Czechoslovakia, and Romania.
Okay.
So, there's a classic story. September of 1989, Honecker, who'd been the dictator in East Germany for 19 years, he sends down an elite paratroop division to Leipzig, which was the epicenter of the protest movement, to fire on the crowds. And the communist leaders in Leipzig go into the barracks where the paratroopers are, and they're all like crying, and because they have sisters and brothers and family out on the streets, and they realize they can't trust it, they can't deploy it, so they don't. And Honecker's out of power within a week. That was true in the Russian Revolution. As soon as the Cossacks began to fraternize with the crowds. In fact, they actually fired on the Tsarist police, who, were all torturers. Talk about dirty police. It was finished. As soon as the Shah fled and the head of the armed forces in Iran got up and said, "We will not use violence to defend the regime," they were finished. Same thing with Batista. And so that's a fundamental component of revolution. It's when the foot soldiers, i.e. the police, won't protect a discredited and corrupt ruling elite. And let's not forget that oftentimes the lead up to that defection entails a lot of violence on the part of Cossacks. Were ruthless in Russia, in Tsarist Russia. But in the end, cops are working class, and they do have family members who have lost their jobs, who are getting evicted. In New York City, you have Rent-A-Cop, so they're standing in these marble foyers of places like Goldman Sachs, I think they make $37 an hour or something, watching, these commodity traders go off to exclusive clubs, making insane amounts of money. I think you're dead right, Jimmy, about the culture of cops. On the other hand, that moment when the cops say, "I've had enough," any regime is finished. And I've been a reporter too long to predict the future, but I can tell you that the ruling elites, given what they're doing in Washington, and their utter refusal to respond in a rational way to what's happening to larger and larger numbers within the citizenry, are playing with fire and playing with their own destruction. I mean, it can't come soon enough, as far as I'm concerned. But it is kind of amazing how tone deaf they are.
Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?